I'd like to call the meeting to order. I can see that there's no one recording this meeting, so if you would please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Not seeing any citizens' comments, I would seek approval of the minutes of December 16, 2015. Do I have that motion?
I'll make that motion to approve the minutes from Wednesday, December 16th.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. It is a vote. Seeing no student representatives, we will move on to the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The first item, Ms. Bailey, our band instructor at Auburn High School, has requested permission from you to take the marching band to attend and compete in a competition up in Salem, New Hampshire on Sunday, May 29th. We did confirm with her that they would be back for Monday for the Memorial Day Parade here in Auburn. The marching band continues to do great things. They love what they do and continue to be recognized. If you've not yet seen them, I encourage you to. Their enthusiasm shines through. So it is my recommendation that you approve this trip for them.
I would entertain that motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the trip to Salem, New Hampshire for the AHS Marching Band to compete on May 29th of 2016.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Good luck.
Yeah.
I wish Ms. Bailey was here so we could tell how excited we are about the band and how far they've come in such a short time. It's pretty amazing, and I've even heard some scuttlebutt around various towns about how well our band is doing. So
That's great.
really, it's something to be proud of.
That's great. We will pass that along.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It is a vote.
The next item, for those of you who may have been on the committee 5 years ago, the class of 1960 at their 50th class reunion actually donated a flagpole and flag that's located on the high school property over near the bridge. They've recently celebrated their 55th class reunion and have made donations for 2 benches that'll be added onto the grounds of Auburn High, one on the lower level and one on the top level. So it is my recommendation that we accept these donations. I have included in here a letter of thanks to Mr. Miller, who has been our conduit on this, but also to all members of the class of 1960.
I would entertain that motion.
I'll make the motion to accept with gratitude the 2 benches donated from Auburn High School class of 1960.
Is there a second? Any discussion?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Nice to see that there's still connection there. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It is a vote.
The next item, I included for you one of the letters, a sample letter that we had sent, I had sent to those students earning honors or high honors at the middle school or high school to try one. I'm happy to report that there were many, many students who earned that distinction based on their hard work, and I take great pleasure in recognizing students for their achievements, so just wanted to share that with you.
Excellent.
It's very nice that you do that. That's the kind of thing the students, I'm sure, will save.
The next item, as you're aware, the minimum wage has gone up to $10 an hour effective January 1st. And Mrs. Worsbicky did a review of our contracts to be sure that we were in compliance. And it turns out with our cafeteria workers, those who come in as substitute workers only were not. So it is our recommendation, it's our requirement that we comply with the law, but that you approve this increase and we would make that adjustment in their pays retro to January 1st.
I would entertain that motion.
Make a motion to approve the increase in the cafeteria substitute workers' rate to $10 an hour effective retroactive to January 1st, and that any subsequent agreements will be reviewed for the next contract, which we will be negotiating later in January.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It is a vote.
Sorry.
The next item, if you'll recall, we sent out a survey to our families and our staff regarding, to get some information to help us in guiding, or help you in guiding me to create a calendar for next school year. So included in your packets We divided it out. The top packet is the responses from all that included parents and staff members. The next one included the responses from parents with comments, and then responses from staff with comments as well. So just as some highlights, overall, in the aggregate, 72.4% of those who took the survey agree with staying with an abbreviated February vacation. We did that for, we will this school year, and we did it for last. So they seem to be overwhelming support for that. In terms of the Good Friday holiday and whether or not students should be in attendance on that day, overall, excuse me, 62% believed that yes, we should, and 37% not. And again, you can see the difference. There was some variation between the parents and staff, but that one, not all that much variation. The next one we had talked about, sorry.
Just on that one, the Good Friday one, the thing is parents were concerned about doing testing on that day when they had their religious day out, if they need to do it, and would like to know if they're gonna do a testing day, to do it opposite of that day. It's a big difference.
Sure. Through the chair, I would say that's a very reasonable thing, is to be sure that there's not any testing on,
Okay.
On a Good Friday holiday for those who choose to take it as religious. Sure.
Okay, thank you.
And the staff could also take it as a religious day, too.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct, yes. Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We had proposed the idea of potentially, and they come to us from a neighboring school district, we have early release days, and that's always what we've used, but also to look at some potentially some late start days. And as you can see from here, overall, 54% preferred the early release days only, with about 46% either indicating they'd like to do some late start dates, or they really did not have a preference. So that was nearly split on that. When you look at the data, and we could disaggregate it by grade level, there seemed to be much more appeal for the older students. So the students at the middle school and high school or the families of the students were more in favor of a late start, because I think those kids would appreciate it. One concern that was raised, from the families of the younger students was, would we be able to offer satellite before school? Comes down to a daycare, challenge and things. So we had not thought of that. I shared all of this data with the leadership team earlier today at our meeting. So I think that, anything we go forward with, we need to think about all of those, all those issues.
Through the chair. Do we offer satellite for early release days?
We do,
Oh,
we do.
But it'd be in the afternoon.
It's in the afternoon, and it actually ends at 4 o'clock on early
Yeah.
release days, so they're aware of it, but we do offer that now.
Oh, so we would have to, it seems like, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And that was a concern when you look at the parents' comments, that was an issue for them. And then in terms of the preference of, preferring to either end the school year as early in June as possible, or start the school year as late in August as possible, not much of a difference. I think that, more seem to be interested in, about 9% more, 54% in starting, trying to end the school year earlier in June. And I think that has to do, obviously, with heat. The good thing that we have, or the benefit that we have in Auburn, is
Yeah.
all of our classrooms, or nearly all of our classrooms, and soon will be, have a dehumidification, or some sort of system that makes it more manageable.
Yeah.
But,
That's a real blessing. I remember trying to teach them those hot days, and it's like, all the kids wanted to do was go home and go in their pools, and you're
Right.
totally,
Right.
understood.
yeah.
I
Typically,
was looking for an invite myself.
through the chair, it seems, that starting a little bit earlier in August, or many, I would say, commented, to revert more to what was typical. Some had made the comment, that this year, starting on September 8th, was late. That was the latest it could have been of all the years.
Right.
Labor Day
Right.
was as late in September as possible. So that did make it later. I mean, we needed that time this summer, but I think the schedule that we've had more typically, which is starting that week before Labor Day and that Friday off, seemed to always work pretty well.
And through the chair, it looks like that's the preference of everyone who answers the survey, so.
Yep.
What have you heard from the teachers' union as far as, obviously, a lot of members have taken part in the survey, but as a union, what have you heard from them?
So what I had promised them, we meet monthly, and indicated that what I would do is, once the data was compiled, I would share it with you, and then we'll share all the information disaggregated this way with them as well. So with the February vacation piece, if we look, disaggregated, the parents, it was nearly 82% continued to prefer a 2-day February vacation. When we look to the staff, it was more split. 45% would continue to like that, 54% would prefer to have a full. So we will certainly bring this to them, to share the information. And the reason for doing this, so actually there were 259 staff who participated, so that's a very, very high percentage.
Yeah.
High percentage of staff.
At the same time, they may be able to move those numbers around a little bit at their general meetings
Yeah.
and conversations. And kind of bringing up some of the good points or the bad points that they may have voted against
Sure.
as far as this survey goes.
Mhm.
So when would we be looking to finalize?
So if you have, any particular input on this, what I'd like to do is bring to you, at the next meeting, January 20th, a few different options of ones, and talk to you about the benefits and potential drawbacks to them. Typically, we start getting calls from families generally early February or so. So I think ideally, if it could be, so I think our February meetings are February 3rd and the 17th. So the 17th, we're intending to have a big presentation come in. All of the principals, not from that side, all of the principals and with students as well, to do a whole demonstration about some of the technology that we use in the district. We had mentioned it at the tech committee, so that's the 17th. So if it could be voted on at the 3rd, I think that would be ideal.
Looking at the amount of people that took it, it looks like most of the staff, or almost all the staff, took the survey.
Right.
And what do we have, 2,500 students?
About 2,400.
So,
yes.
Parent-wise, that's probably about half the parents? Or thereabouts, because some have more than one child, so it's
Sure.
I'm thinking that the parents that took it because they care, and the others are do whatever you want, and that kind of attitude,
Yeah.
so.
I would like to see, I would like to get official word from the teachers' union. Not that we're gonna base all of our decisions on what they have to say, but just out of respect for what they have to say. And as I said, they may be able to sway those numbers one way or another by coming to some type of a consensus amongst themselves. And if they could get that information to us, if you could just let them know that would be much appreciated and helpful in making our decisions.
Sure.
Not to say that we're discounting the parents' input either. I'd just like to get a little bit from everyone, that's all.
Okay. And one additional comment through the chair is, there is this belief, I think, that if we don't have a February vacation, that we can't air out the buildings, I hear, and there's more sickness. I actually did an analysis and looked at from the start of school through March 1st for the past 6 years. And we have great attendance in Auburn. It ranges from 95.4% up to about 96%. And that didn't vary. In 2014, we actually had probably the best attendance during that rate. I think it was 96.6%. But all of the other years, whether it was a full, week off, the 2-day, it didn't seem to have any impact, quite honestly.
And we're talking about all types of upgrades to those systems.
Mhm.
So we're moving air around a lot more than we ever did.
Correct.
Not just in the
Right.
2 new buildings, but also over at Swanson Road
Yeah,
with the new ventilation systems in there. So
yeah,
really, that plays a big part. We're used to being in older buildings and stuffy classrooms, and certainly germs could spread that way.
Right, and I
Sure.
used,
Makes a big
I
difference.
saw Februaries where you'd be lucky if you had 4 or 5 kids actually in your classroom.
yeah.
It really, when an illness hit, it really started to go through everyone. I just, coming from a teacher's point of view, a teacher can't decide to extend February vacation and just pull their own kids out of school and go. They got, if school's there, they're there. Whereas parents can. But you said attendance was quite good in February.
It was
Because-
good, yeah.
Because as a teacher, we don't have the ability to just take a vacation when we want.
Right.
We have to go with the school calendar. So I always think of that when we talk about changes, because they don't have the latitude that a parent would.
Sure.
That's why I'm surprised that more teachers would not choose to have a vacation in March and maybe a day here, a long weekend in April and a long weekend in February, because really, it would give them or us, if it was happening at my school as well, which I'd like to see, an opportunity to take a vacation without paying $500,000 for flights and
Well-
not waiting in line for hours and hours at Disney World. I just think it would be.
Well, if I could address that, we did in Auburn have a March vacation, and it wasn't a very good thing.
No?
We had a lot of sickness in February. You have the March vacation, and the ticket prices on flights, because I used to always go to Florida with my daughter, weren't down because it's spring break for all the colleges, and you're competing with all of them. Plus all the activities that museums and colleges run for the children for February school vacation, our kids missed out on. And then when we went to the March vacation, everyone complained, they didn't think June, the end of school, would ever come, because it was like forever, from March to the end of June. So
Okay.
we weren't big fans of the March vacation, and we just tried it that one year and we went back. So,
Well, that's some
It's good to know.
interesting
I
input
mean, because I
there.
read the staff comments, and they're all like, well, maybe we should go to March. And I'm like, well, we tried it once, and it really wasn't too spiffy,
Okay.
because you
Well,
don't
I
get the
certainly
cheap,
never thought of that.
yeah, you don't get the cheap airline flights, because you're competing with all the college kids.
Right.
And,
And through the chair, perhaps it might be also that if, for some of our teachers that don't live in town, they're always going to default to what their kids' vacations are.
yes,
You
that's
know,
the other
so
thing.
Until more schools
I mean-
move to modified schedules, but again, just a guess.
Well, I would say come to Auburn. Anything further? Okay.
It was
moving on.
interesting.
Thank you for that information.
Sure.
And I'm glad all the teachers took part in it.
That is
So,
nice
It
to
really
see.
was.
That's a big thing.
Yeah.
That's a big thing.
And that was teachers and all staff, so.
Yes, I
yeah,
realized that with that
exactly,
number.
yes, yeah. The next item, just wanted to make you aware, Student Government Day is held in April. I think it's April 1st this year down at the State House. And Mr. Hanfield notified me that Carla Kahali and Riley Simmons will be the students participating in that. So we'll keep you posted as to how that goes.
Excellent.
And then the Southern Worcester County, the annual report, as well as, that includes the auditor's report, is in here. I'm very happy to report that I know I had shared with you just a couple of short years ago, the financial challenges that the collaborative was experiencing. We had a meeting in December, and we are in very solid ground, which is great, because we have a number of students who, in district here, benefit from it, and certainly many others from other districts that do. But I would encourage you, if you haven't had a chance yet, to read the annual report. It's very touching for the students, really get a lot out of the program, so it's great.
Excellent, thank you. Any comments? We now move on to unfinished business.
So at our December 16th meeting, Mrs. Worsbicky and I had brought forward to you a budget recommendation of $24,240,176.26, which reflected a 3.23% increase. If you remember, part of that included a $50,000 offset from the National Grid rebate that we received for the middle school. Mrs. Worsbicky, in communications with Mr. Kazanovich, he indicated that he believed that this would require town meeting approval, that we would have use of those funds. So with that in mind, and I would be very hopeful that town meeting, I think, would likely approve that for us. But at this early date, my recommendation would be to not put that offset in at this point, not to anticipate having those funds until we are certain of it. But instead to go forward, and again, it would be a draft budget at this point, of the $24,290,176.26. So that represents a 3.44% increase over 16. But I'd also ask you to keep in mind, so we have an obligation to get that information to to Town Manager Jacobson by Monday, and we will do that once you approve whatever number it is. But we had a leadership team meeting this afternoon, and on each of our agendas going forward, we'll have discussions about the budget, and if changes are made, if students come in or students withdraw, special education issues. But today's meeting was really about, trying to think outside of the box. And I've never subscribed to doing something just because it's the way we've always done it. For us to really look at the services that we're providing and how we're providing them, and can we maybe do it differently that would better serve kids, or serve kids at least as well, and maybe save some money or shift some things around. So it was a great discussion we had this afternoon. We'll continue to look at that, and we'll bring updates forward to you. But it's our recommendation at this point that we send this draft budget forward until we get more information on Chapter 70, until we see the governor's budget that comes out, and the other variations of the budgets that come. It's an early submittal that we need to do, but we've done it for years, and then we wait and see and make changes as demands come.
Seems reasonable.
And there'd be nothing extra we'd be adding, right? This is as high as it would go, right?
Yeah, I can't anticipate that there'd be any changes. I mean, if you remember in the one December 16th, we had to actually increase some of our out-of-district special education,
Mhm.
and then we took reductions in other areas.
Right.
So, we don't anticipate that there will be. Now, if there was to be a total surprise that came about, we'd bring it to your attention right away. But I think even with sending this draft forward, it is always what we believe at this time is what we're going to need. And then we'll continue to work on it.
I would entertain a motion to recommend the budget, draft budget, that is.
I'll make a motion to approve the fiscal year 17 draft budget at $24,290,176.26, which represents a 3.44% increase over the final fiscal year 2016 budget for the school department.
Well said. Is there a second?
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
This vote.
Great, we will get that memo off to Town Manager Jacobson. And then finally, the school building committee, we had a meeting just prior to the holiday. We mainly approved invoices and such. We are winding down on those. I know that I did make you aware of a couple of leaks that were in the new middle school yesterday with the frigid temperatures. I'm happy to report those have been taken care of, and everything's under warranty, so it will all be addressed. And Fontaine and their subcontractors are taking it seriously, and we'll get it all addressed. Not unusual, every time we set up a new system,
Sure.
that it needs to kind of run through.
Was there any ceiling damage or anything?
Some ceiling tiles that will need to be replaced. But fortunately, the materials that we have, the linoleum with the tile,
Mhm.
did not suffer any damage. So very, very minimal, but obviously to the pipes that need to be in the coils, need to be corrected.
Not only that, but the big thing is the warranty.
Exactly,
Right.
Yeah.
That
exactly.
covers it, so it's not gonna come out of our pocket.
Right, no
Out of
cost
the
to
budget.
us. Exactly. Yep.
How long is the warranty for?
It depends, but
5
pretty
years?
much for a year for many
Oh,
of the
really?
things.
Yeah.
And that's why when you saw in the budget that came forward, Mr. Fay had presented, that in a year we'll have to take over some of the contracts in terms of like the automation system, which come at a pretty high cost. So hopefully,
The
with that
National
National
Grid
Grid,
money.
we'll be able to then go back and put that in as
Kind
an
of warranty
offset.
our own things.
Correct.
Beautiful.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you recall what the substantial completion date was?
Well, initially, it was for July 7th of 2015. That was our initial projected one. But in terms of, the school building committee is not going to, I guess, technically sign off on it until at least the spring, because they've got to get all of the landscaping to take, and some of the grass did not. So I think the SBC is anticipating, we've got a January meeting. I think in all likelihood, April would be the earliest, and it's probably more like May.
Yeah, I'd say May.
I think that they'll continue meeting, because they've got to see, when we had such a dry summer, when they put the blue in that grass, it really just took to weed. It wasn't, so they've got to have a viable lawn out there in the grassy areas before they'll sign off on it.
Wow, that's excellent.
Yep.
Okay, we now move, any further discussion? Now move on to new business.
So in terms of our upcoming events, we've got many different groups that support us, the ARC and such, some dances coming up, and we actually, I know an invitation will be coming to you if you've not yet received it. The middle school is starting a National Junior Honor Society League. We have the National Honor Society at the high school. This is something that we had talked with Mr. Gagnon about a couple of years ago, and teachers have stepped up to do this. So it'll be a nice way to recognize those middle school students who are really going above and beyond, and that ceremony will be on the 22nd. It's a Friday night. So if you've not received the invitation, I know one is forthcoming.
Sounds great. We now move on to business and financial. Cecilia?
Good evening. In your packets, I provided you with an up-to-date, year-to-date budget report of where the actual budget is for fiscal year 16. And in conjunction with that, I've also provided a list of budget transfers that I'd like to have approved as far as balancing out, the negatives in the budget areas and reshifting the money. So I'd be looking for some kind of approval on that.
I would entertain a motion to approve those transfers.
I'll make the motion to approve the transfers as presented by the business manager.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. There's a vote.
Okay. And I also have the ProPay information. I've also provided that in your packet. We have been receiving regular payments from MSBA on our middle school project as well as our 2 accelerated repairs. The last payment we received for each of them was on December 24th. I currently have another request for reimbursement out for each of them that I'm awaiting I've submitted it electronically. I'm just getting the paperwork to send to them after it's been signed, and you should be receiving that money shortly as well. Just to give a quick update, as Dr. Brunel said, for the middle school project, the accelerated repair projects as well are kind of winding down. The actual repairs have been done. The roof at Bryn Mawr has been completed, and the boiler and the roof at Swanson Road have all been completed. Right now we're at the point where we're working on our punch lists with the contractors, and in speaking with Mr. Fahey, they're looking at a projected completion date of late January, so early February. That was what he gave me for a time frame. But as far as the MSBA for the 2 accelerated repair, we've had some budget amendments done. As I believe I've stated before, when we went out to bid for the projects, we had projected them coming in at a higher cost, and they did come in with the contracts at a lower cost, so we've made the adjustments through the MSBA, and so that'll take place as well. So just reducing the budget amounts for each. So any questions on the accelerated repair? Okay.
I just have some questions with the ineligible project costs. Could you just
Okay. And
give us the
basically,
rundown on those?
there have been some items that are ineligible on the accelerated repair projects for Bryn Mawr and 10 Swanson Road. Some of that was they had to make adjustments to the actual contract, and so those adjustments have been made. And so what I need to do now is go in and resubmit for those. So I've been keeping track, anything that's considered ineligible, I've been going back and looking at, speaking with the OPM, the project managers, and, we're looking at classifying them to a different code where they would fit. So most of them, ones that are ineligible, will be eligible. So there's a few that, really minor amounts that will be ineligible. But for the most part, the majority of the amounts that have been ineligible to this point will be eligible.
Okay,
So
thank you.
I will be pursuing that as well. So the next thing I had on my agenda was to talk about the revolving accounts. I provided you a list of the updated revolving accounts as of December 17th. So you can look, there's 3 pages worth of information on our revolving accounts and where our status lies right now. And if you have any questions.
Seeing none.
Well, I thank you very much.
Well, thank you for that report. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
All right, one of you. want-
Second.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good night, everyone.